everyone, and welcome to today's color mix series. Today we are going to be mixing and testing out all of our blues, and I'm going to be mixing them like I did in our yellow and reds videos with our primaries yellow and red and the complement, which is orange. These are all of the blues that I have right now, and I will add also turquoise, since it is on the blue side. We'll start with our cerulean blue, which is by Sennelier. It is a light fastness of 1 and opaque, and the pigment is PB28. I have a couple of PB28s and a couple of PB29s, so be on the lookout for those. Full strength. Lovely sky blue. I love using this one for my skies. Blends out nicely and has beautiful granulation. Some people think that granulation is a bad thing, and I guess if you're not intending for your painting to have granulation, it can be, but you can use it to your advantage for creating some beautiful paintings and use that texture in your paintings. So I like it. Okay. Moving on, we'll go to our manganese blue, which is by Winsor & Newton, and it is a PB15, and the light fastness is 2. This one's a fun color. I don't use it often, but it is beautiful and fun to use. I need to use it more. Such a unique color. This one's a little bit more sticky. I've had this one for a while, but it's still great shape, beautiful. Look at the richness and vibrancy in that one. With a little bit of granulation as well. Not as much as our cerulean, but it is there. This one would be perfect for a bright, sunny day, maybe more like you're at the ocean, that kind of sunny. I mean, both are beautiful sky blues. Definitely a different feel. This one feels more of a, not a cooler day, but just, I don't know, not as bright. This one screams more ocean vibe. At the beach, that bright, bright sunny blue. Definitely gonna have to use that one more. Okay, this one I used actually in a color mix series where I was trying out Daniel Smith's Primatech colors, and this was one of the new ones that they had. If you would like to check out that video here, I will link that in the description below. Strength is nice, and it is staining. It does not have a pigment because it actually comes from the genuine Mayan blue. I have more information about this paint in that other video, but it is a light fastness of 2. Has some granulation. Very beautiful. Move on to our, so I have 3 ultramarine blues here. Ultramarine blue is one of my favorites, which you can get ultramarine blue deep, or the French ultramarine blue, which actually is my favorite. This one is our PB29. It is a light fastness of 1. This is our Student Academy watercolor by Grumbacher. It's the only student grade one I have. Still a very beautiful color. Look how vibrant that is looking. We'll kind of compare it to our other ultramarine blues that we have on this one. I think the vibrancy is great in these ones. The only problem I really have had with these is that they tend to look a little bit more chalky. But I do know that the Cotman Winsor & Newton student grade is actually a little bit better, but at the time I could not find them So I had gotten the Grumbacher ones, and you can see it doesn't fade as, I mean, you can see some of the lines there a little bit more. If I go back in, it'll just create blossoms. Now this one is our M-Gram Ultramarine Blue. I had this one from college. I love the deep richness of Ultramarine Blue. I love that you can get blacks, really lovely blacks from it. It almost looks black over here before I started mixing. But once you add some of that water, and it just has the most beautiful blue, just blue. Beautiful granulation. Like I said, for my blues, I tend to like a little bit of granulation. That's not for everyone. Here we have our French Ultramarine Blue. It is transparent. It has a light fastness of 1, and it is PB29 and PV15. So it does have a little bit of violet in it. I use this one a lot. This is probably the color I go through the most out of every color I have. I actually have more blues than I have of any other color. I have 13 blues. I like my blue. What can I say? Okay. I love the vibrancy and the richness. It's very comparable to the M-Gram Ultramarine Blue. It just, no, there's not a whole lot of difference there, but I do like that violet. I like the mix I get, the black I almost get with this French Ultramarine. Now we'll move on to our Cobalt Blue by M-Gram. Cobalt Blue, when mixed with burnt sienna, makes the most beautiful gray. I did a video on all my browns. I'll link that here, and I mix it with some different blues to create different tones of grays if you mix those browns and those blues. Intense blue, it's got a light fastness of 1, and I believe it is transparent. That's beautiful. It's a little bit more bright, where this one is a little bit more dark and deep. This reminds me of the deep parts of the ocean. Well, this one has a little bit more vibrancy as far as a little bit warmer, where I feel this one's a little bit cooler. These two kind of I would put in the same place. Looks like we almost have some clouds going on there. This one's a warmer blue. This one's our cooler blue. You can see that chalkiness here starting to come up. It's kind of blocked as it's dried. And I can see, I don't think you can see it as well in the camera, but I can see almost like there's bits of white or something coating it. That's that chalkiness I was talking about. Other than that, the vibrancy is beautiful, but once it dries, it does leave that chalkiness, which kind of takes away from the vibrancy. I don't know if you can tell the difference in the camera there, but I can see it here. This one is also Cobalt Blue by Sennelier. It's a light fastness of 1, transparent, and PB28. So this one's PB28 as well as this one here. So we'll see the differences we get in those. And these three all were PB29. Look at that. You can see they're a little different there. This one seems a little bit more opaque than this one. This one definitely has transparency to it, whereas where I had it a lot thicker up here, you can see that it's really thick. And we'll go into our phthalo blue. I love phthalo blue, but it is very staining. I actually have some here on my finger because there was some on the back of my tube. This one is a staining. It's transparent and it is PB15-3. This one's a very, very potent color. You do not get this out once you put it in. Beautiful, very potent. Look how deep that is. Want a nice deep blue, but it does lend itself to be a little bit more on the green side as I pull it out. I mean, almost reminds me of robin's eggs or like the Easter eggs that they paint. Does anybody else think that? Maybe it's just me. It's a beautiful color. Very vivid, very vibrant. I mean, they're all very vibrant and vivid. You can see how this, it looked fairly dark when we first put it down, but it has significantly lightened up as it has dried. And that's as dark as it gets. So even though in the tube it looks a lot darker, you can see that is the darkest we're going to get from that. So now I'm going to actually drop down to here. We'll do our cobalts last. I want to try this blue indanthrene, and it is PB60. It's transparent, and the light fastness is actually not rated. Very deep, moody blue. Ooh, look at that. Oh. I mean, the deepness almost looks purple, but then as we fold that down, you can see that blue come out. That's one of the things I love about blues is they almost look and appear black when they're in the tubes, but then once you pull it out, you can just see this amazing, amazing color shine through. Too much water in there. Love this color. Can you imagine when we put our red with that, how dark that one would be for a black? I mean, I use this one usually, but that one is just so intense. This one is indigo. It is also staining. It is semi-opaque, semi-transparent. It has a light fastness of 2 and is PB60, PB15-1, and PBK7. And this is going to be another really dark blue. But this one will be kind of like this. It'll lean more towards, I believe, green side once we pull it down. But that one almost looks black right there. Even in comparison to this, that looks black. How? Okay, can I just say how much I love the color of our water right now? It almost looks like you're pulling the depths of the sea out of that indigo. Just gonna sit here for a minute. You can see how they jump around from our cool blues to our warm blues. These ones have definitely more green. As you set them next to each other from the tubes, you can't see a lot of difference when they're out of the tubes, but once you put those down on paper and see those traits, this one does have some granulation, and so does this one. This one as well, where this one is not granulating as much as our Sennelier. So if you are not a big fan of a lot of granulation, I would go for the M-Gram Cobalt Blue. If you like a little bit of granulation for texture, go for the Sennelier Cobalt Blue. And same here, it looks like This one has slightly more texture. I don't know. Some parts of it look up here, it looks like it has more texture, more granulation, whereas on this one down here, it looks like it has more granulation. This one is smooth, no granulation here. This one, as it dried out, there's a lot less granulation. This one has some. This one definitely has some. This one has some. Now, we're going to go to our Cobalt Turquoise by Winsor & Newton. It is a light fastness of 1 and is PB36. So only PB36. Both of these had PB60. Love turquoise. It is on the blue side. I know it can be seen as a little bit more green or a little bit more blue, but turquoise generally is a little bit more of a blue-green, whereas aqua would be more on the green side. I just lumped them in with this one, and we'll do another video with our greens. Oh, lovely. I use this one a lot for seascapes, for the ocean. Look how beautiful that one is. Makes a very beautiful sea color. Does have a little bit of granulation. And our last one is Phthalo Turquoise. Another very potent color. I also use this one for seascapes. It's beautiful. It is transparent, PB15-3 and PG7, and has a light fastness of 2. This one's going to be more intense of a turquoise than our cobalt. Okay, here again, very deep, which is, phthalos are known for being very potent staining. Color, look how vibrant and saturated that is. Beautiful, beautiful color. Love the intensity that I get here when I go into a cream, and then how beautiful it looks lightened up. Now we'll go into the portion where I start mixing our colors with my primaries and our complement. I already put some down here so that I can just get started on mixing those. I'm really excited to see what we get. So we'll start with our yellow. Okay, we get a lovely green. Like the granulation, I get into that. Red is very, very potent, so I have to make sure that I'm not using too much and overwhelming my colors. Very cool. Very muted purple, actually. Looks like when I mix it, it doesn't really want to go very purple. Kind of wants to go either red or blue. It's kind of a gray purple, very moody. Has that gray tone to it. And with our complement, so I did this in both our red and yellow videos here, and I will link those below if you want to see those ones. So orange is our complement. It is directly across from our blue on the color wheel, and usually will create kind of gray tones when you mix our complements. They look beautiful and they pop when they're next to each other, but when you mix them, it will usually cause a graying. This one kind of went pink. Very interesting. That's very interesting. See that? So this is just a Sennelier orange. Now let's go over with our manganese. Go with our yellow. Look at that. That's so happy. That reminds me of Easter. Look at that, how pretty. I like that. Ooh. Definitely keep that one in mind if you want a very vibrant, bright green. Let's check out. Get with our red. Huh. I find this kind of interesting that with our blue and our red, we're kind of getting more grays with some of these. Look at that. That's with red. Usually I get purple. Let me try this again because I'm really confused. Maybe. It does not want to go purple, does it? It either goes red or gray. It's very interesting. It's even when I add more red to it, it's kind of a warmer gray. It doesn't really go purple at all. Very curious indeed. Again, pink. Look how that's separated. That is amazing. Sorry, I got distracted. It is a softer gray. You get lots of grays with this manganese blue, and you get this really, really cool separation of that. Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit more. So here's our Mayan blue. Let's go into our yellow. Nice, lovely green. So in this one, we're going to see a lot of greens, which will be helpful for if you do landscapes. And you can see a variety of greens. Let's see what we get with this. What do we get? Purple or black? Maybe because these ones have more green in them. I'm guessing the complement with red is making those more gray when I mix it with the red. Because here we are again. This one has like some greens and it's almost a very charcoal, beautiful charcoal, but not what I would expect. Try to change the ratio. It's still... Very interesting. I'm wondering if it's because those ones have more... They're more on the green side. Last one, we'll check it out with our orange. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of sad that I haven't got more purple from this. Here we are. Get more purple from that. That's a pretty color. I like that one. So let's go into our ultramarine blue. And this one I think will get better results as far as how our normal purples, grays would be. We'll go into yellow. You can make that more blue-green or yellow-green depending on how much yellow or how much blue you add to that. Let's add our red. It's a nice deep purple. Like I said, this ultramarine blue really gives us a nice deep purple that's usually almost black, and that's why I love to use it for my blacks, because it gives it more depth. And I actually have a video here that I show you with Payne's Gray, neutral tint, and creating my own black, this process and why I like it better. It's interesting how with this orange, I go towards like almost more reds. That's how it neutralizes it out in this one. It doesn't really go like but it does neutralize that. It kind of gives us like an oxidized color. Now we'll go to our ultramarine blue from M-Gram. Another beautiful color. Here we got our purple. Again, our purple is a very like grapey, very deep purple. It's kind of gray. And our French Ultramarine from Sennelier. It's nice thick green. You have to remember that this yellow is opaque, so it will be a little bit more on the opaque side. Purple, almost gray, black. I love to get so rich. You see how rich that is in comparison to this one? I can actually get away, depending on how thick my paint is, with just using those two colors alone, the Cad Red Light and French Ultramarine Blue, to make my black, or a very pale charcoal, depending on how much pigment I actually use. Okay. Now we're down here to our Cobalt Blue by M. Graham. Very strong color. You can almost look at this. I just added a little bit and I get kind of this cobalt, almost this cobalt turquoise color. Not quite, but very similar. If I add a little bit more yellow, I can brighten up that green. Look at the difference between those. Deep violet. It's a warmer version, almost. You can see the red hues in it. Just gorgeous. It's very, very saturated, but leans. You can see that it's violet, that has that red in there. There we are. It's a nice gray. Now we'll do our Sennelier Cobalt Blue. Another very potent, strong color. Same kind of turquoise. And then we'll mix our red. I like this one. Lovely purple. As they dry, you can see more of the violet. When they're straight on the paper, they tend to look more black. And then once they start drying, you can see the loveliness of those purples. I love the cool colors we get with these blues. I mean, I love the brightness of the yellow and the red, but there's just something about these tones that just draws me in to make me happy. Okay, Phthalo Blue. Now this one is more on the green side as well, so we'll see what we get. Look at that. Another beautiful ocean color. Let's see, more yellow. Vibrant those are. Quite an intense color. And it actually has made a very black color when we mixed it with our red. Like I said, I believe it has more green, so we're getting those neutral tones from that because it's kind of in between here. So this one is definitely black, but more of a green black. So I guess depending on what you want as far as black, if you like a cooler black or a warmer black, one being more on the violet side, this one being more on the green side, depends on what you want. Huh. Interesting. This one wants to go kind of like muddy, yellowy, green. Let's go into our blue indanth. Indanthrine. And of course, depending on how much yellow, you're going to give various shades of greens. Let's go into our red. And very black. But still on the purple side. See that purple in there? Yes. Love it. Have a green. Dirty olive green. Go into our indigo. Very green, isn't it? Did not see that coming. To be honest, I expected a little something more like that. But I like it. This one definitely going blackish. It's already kind of black. So. Ooh. Turned that green, didn't it? Very opaque. And now to our cobalt turquoise. Again, I like how vibrant and green this is. This is on the green side, so I'm expecting it to be more gray instead of like a violet. Giving us a lovely gray. Kind of green, another green. A little bit more orange to it, kind of goes more orangey. I do like how this one separates a little. You can see a little bit more of that red in there. Okay, so last but very much not least is our Phthalo turquoise. This one reminds me of This one reminds me of Hooker's green. It's kind of or Viridian green. But it's more opaque. Wow, color. And green. Olive green. The other ones. The color next to it so you can see them. Was anybody else as surprised by the colors we got with these and the results? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next video.